Here's what they don't want you to know. After the T-virus incident, witnesses began to speak out. Umbrella had a choice: admit responsibility or erase the evidence forever. They chose violence. The operation's codename? Requiem, a funeral march for anyone who dared to talk. A document leak in 2023 reveals that Umbrella deployed specialized cleanup units across 3 continents, not to contain outbreaks, but to eliminate witnesses. Former employees, journalists, even low-level scientists who knew too much. They simply vanished. But one survivor recorded everything. Her footage, smuggled out on damaged hard drives, shows facilities you've never seen in any game. Real laboratories, real experiments, real consequences. So what's the catch? According to reports, major gaming media outlets had this information for years and never published it. Why? Because corporate pressure works both ways. This changes how we understand the entire franchise. The horror wasn't just biological. It was systemic, calculated, organized, and hidden until now. The real question is, what else are they hiding? What if I told you that the game everyone called impossible to make is finally real? Ill began as a fever dream, a horror game where your character literally gets sick the longer you play. Not a health bar, actual symptoms. And this is where it gets interesting. The developer spent 2 years building a medical simulation engine that tracks infection, fever, and hallucinations. Your screen blurs, sound distorts. You're not playing a sick character, you're experiencing it. No one believed it would work. Early builds constantly crashed. Players found it uncomfortable. Publishers said the game was unsellable. The lead developer nearly quit 3 times. Then something unexpected happened. Speedrunners discovered the illness system could be manipulated. What was meant to feel oppressive became a puzzle. Entire communities formed around symptom routing, optimizing which diseases to catch for strategic advantage. The game transformed overnight. Now it's nominated for innovation awards. The same publishers who rejected it are calling back, and the developer just released a dev diary showing the broken prototype next to the final build. The difference is shocking. The idea didn't change. The refusal to compromise did. Sometimes an impossible game is just one step away from a breakthrough. In 1348, a terrified mother made a promise to God, and somehow the proof still exists. That year, the Black Death erased entire bloodlines across Europe. Survival felt impossible. When her child recovered against all odds, she commissioned what we now call Voto 1348, a small painted panel showing her kneeling beside a child rising from a sickbed. Here's what haunts historians. It wasn't painted by a master. The artist could barely afford pigments, using whatever materials wouldn't rot during Europe's darkest century. Most objects from 1348 are gone. Wood decayed, textiles dissolved, even stone crumbled. Yet this fragile promise, painted on a pine board thinner than your phone, survived wars, fires, humidity, and 677 years of human carelessness. Even stranger, the inscription on the back. A recent translation reveals she didn't just thank God for healing. She asked that anyone who sees this painting remember that hope existed when everything was ending. We found it in a monastery basement in 2019, wrapped in cloth dated to the 1800s. Someone protected it for generations without knowing why. That's the power of a promise made in desperation. It outlives everything. Most people think being alive just means not being dead, but what if that's wrong? Survival isn't the same as living. In 2023, researchers found that 60% of adults feel like they're just going through the motions. That's terrifying when you realize we only get one life. So what separates existing from actually living? Neuroscientists call it psychological vitality, the brain's ability to experience meaning beyond basic function. When you're only surviving, activity in the prefrontal cortex drops. You're awake, but dimmed. Here's the interesting part. People who moved from better than dead to fully alive didn't make massive changes. They made strategic ones, removing small friction points, breaking dopamine loops, rebuilding connection in unexpected places. Navy SEALs have a phrase, comfortable in chaos, not escaping discomfort, transforming your relationship with it. Because here's the truth, life doesn't get easier, you just get more alive. And that shift begins the moment you stop asking, how do I survive this, and start asking, who do I become after this? John Carpenter's Toxic Commando just announced a video game, and it might be his strangest project yet. The horror legend behind Halloween and The Thing is entering gaming with Toxic Commando, a top-down shooter set in a radioactive wasteland filled with mutated creatures. What makes this fascinating? Carpenter has been a gamer for decades, obsessed with everything from Borderlands to Dead Space, yet he's never made his own game until now. Why now? He's collaborating with Saber Interactive, the studio behind World War Z and Space Marine 2. This isn't a small passion project, it's a full-scale action game launching in 2025 for PC and consoles. The twist? Carpenter is composing the entire soundtrack himself, bringing his iconic synth sound directly into gameplay. Imagine Assault on Precinct 13 playing while you mow down biohazard monsters. Most filmmakers just license their name. Carpenter is deeply involved. Enemy design, atmosphere, creative direction. He told IGN he wants players to feel the same dread as his films, but with the power to fight back. Could this change how filmmakers approach interactive media? We'll find out next year.